One of the more common questions we get asked at Tackle World Cram in the mornings is what colour braid should I be using? There are so many different colours on the market now and all have their purpose. But I want to focus specifically on two different things here, high-vis and low-vis, and when you should use both. Here, I've got one of the most high-vis braids you can buy. That is almost a glowing yellow. Me personally, I see this as a saltwater braid. Saltwater fish, especially in deeper water, tend not to be as shy as our freshwater counterparts or our estuarine counterparts. So for me, if I'm snapper fishing in the bay, chucking a soft plastic around, or if I'm offshore casting around for flatties and snapper, kings, bits and pieces, I don't think the colour of the braid really matters. But you've got to remember in those situations, you've generally got beautiful blue water, clear sky, high sun. It can be hard to see that braid because the tiniest little tick can result in a hookup, and if you can't see the braid, you can't identify those hits. So I would stick to this in the salt water. Again, I'd still be rigging with fluorocarbon. Fish aren't dumb. Fluorocarbon on the end, give yourself a rod length, we'll cover that in another video. But high-vis braid, I tend to use more in the saltwater areas where fish tend not to be as fussy, they're doing their thing, they're ready to go. Here is what I want to really explain because it's something a little bit different. This is camo braid. It is aimed at the freshwater and estuary fisho, and there's a very, very good reason for it. A lot of those waters are either clear and shallow, or they're quite tannin, they're quite brackish. They're generally very still. Fish get spooky. This camo braid changes colour as you go through the spool. They're all based around browns, greens, oranges, very earthy, very natural colours. Where the colour change comes into effect is to break the line of the braid when it's in the water. You can see this when you spool it. As we run the line off the spooler onto a reel, the colour is constantly changing. It messes with your mind, it messes with your eyes, and it's hard to see if it's laying properly. This is exactly what it's designed to do in the water. So if I'm retrieving a plastic real slow for a brim up in Gippsland, I'm in tannin, brackish water, they're not silly. They sit in the snags, they pick their time. If I've got this braid with a natural colour changing very quickly, it breaks the line. It doesn't look unnatural. It's just another bit of weed. It's just another bit of something floating down the river. The same in a freshwater application. This time I could be fishing quite clear water, but it's fast running water. There's constantly stuff zipping past those trout as they're waiting to ambush a minnow or a bug. Again, the braid comes into its own. It works for you. It breaks the line, doesn't look unnatural, and that can increase your hookup rate. I would still fish a leader, but you can afford to keep it quite short. You only need short leaders. You're not going through your fluorocarbon as much. With the camo braid, short leaders are best. Allow the braid to do its job. And that job is to break the line, become almost invisible, and confuse fish thinking it's just another bit of weed floating down the river. You can see what I mean going back to the high-vis. If I was to throw that in a freshwater situation or a still brackish situation, it stands out like nothing else. Run the leaders very long, allow the fluorocarbon to do its job. When we flick over to the camo, let the braid do its job. That's what it's designed to do. It's only a new thing on the market. It's already shown results in the fresh and estuarine systems. There's no reason you couldn't use it in the salt water, but remember you've got high glare in an offshore and bay situation. You need to be able to see the line, and that's where high-vis comes in. So as you can see, they both have their purpose, they both have their time. So plan your trip, get your outfit sorted, have your freshwater and your saltwater separate, spool them with braids corresponding to where they're going to maximise your potential to catch more fish, and allow the braids to do their job.